But what if on Sunday, if we're at Brighton and we hear news very early on, he might be at Liverpool.
Can I be Liverpool now?
No. I think you're coming to Brighton with me. What if there's an early goal for Liverpool? Maybe they get 2 in front against Wolves. The nerves start to bite again. Could you see that scenario happening?
Listen, that could happen. It could be 0-0. At Brighton half-time, Liverpool could be up. I was actually surprised with the stat. I think it was 6 in 10 games that City have been...
Goalless at half-time.
Yeah, and to be honest, in my head, every time City played, they 1-0 up after 10, 15 minutes. So I was surprised to hear that. I think the only way it could stop them is if they got a red card in the game. I really do believe. I couldn't see... The problem with City now is you can't see anyone scoring against them now. And I don't see any game finishing 0-0 with City involved. You see how tight it is, and you actually think of Brighton. Could they get how many set pieces could they get in and around the box? Could they get the ball that far up the pitch? So no, I only think that can stop City is a red card. They go down to 10 men, and obviously that makes it maybe a 50-50 game if you like. But I expect both teams to win.
But Brighton on the beach now, literally. And metaphorically, they have nothing left to play for.
You hearing this, Chris? You hearing this?
No, but Dave, to be fair, we
what I was going to say is they were enterprising at Arsenal, a bit more relaxed in their play.
I think to be fair, we know that's not right, because throughout this last few weeks there have been some suggestions, even by us at time, that teams are going to roll over. Somebody's going to do a favour here, somebody's going to do a favour there. It's not happening. And to be fair, year on year we sort of hear these suggestions that players are on the beach, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. Honestly, we've not seen it this season at all. Brighton on Sunday, last home game of the season, they're going to give it their all. I think they'll fall short because of quality. It won't be because of doing Manchester City a favour. It absolutely won't. And look, if City were to not win on Sunday, it would be absolutely remarkable. It really would. I think it's a 100-to-1 chance.
I actually think the opposite of it in some ways, and that's what I felt tonight with Leicester. You think of Leicester's performance, you think of Burnley's performance last week. These teams are actually in the limelight because they're part of the title race. The seasons are over in some ways, but I think those teams want to be remembered, not necessarily to say we stopped Man City or we stopped Liverpool, but they become the story. In some ways, of being part of a title race. And the majority of those teams are not normally in situations where there's high pressure, people talking about them, the impact it can have, a result that they have. So I actually looked at Leicester, they look desperate to get a result. I don't necessarily to help Liverpool, and I think Newcastle on Saturday night, they look desperate to be the one who not necessarily helped Man City, but were part of the title race and maybe took it in a different direction. And I actually think Wolves and Brighton will have huge commitments going into the weekend. Well, obviously they will, but I think that as a player you've got to put yourself in their position. The limelight's on them, and they probably want to do something and be remembered.
It's worth mentioning that. I mean, we talk about Brighton, will they do anything against City? It's a lot more likely that Wolves will go to Anfield and get a point than Brighton will stop Manchester City getting the 3 points.
Just trying to cheer him up.
Oh, well, there's no point in doing that. There's no point in cheering him up.